Hi, everyone. This is Joshua Lambert, Group Manager of Product for Enablement. And this is the Enablement section group conversation. We are live streaming to YouTube publicly, just as a heads up. And the slides are available in the document, so please review those. And thanks, Dan, for the first question. The slide 4 maturity chart shows an improvement going to Q3 and then no other improvements going forward. I think the primary causes for this, so I think Fabian's already commented, thanks Fabian, is that we just got the enablement section to appear on the maturity page. So that wasn't happening before. We're a non-DevOps stage. I'm sorry, I should have you read these going forward. I'll have you voice your question next time. Thanks. My first time hosting a GC, so I'll do that going forward. But yeah, so we're working towards getting this updated. And I think it's a matter of we haven't gone through the planning for all the other maturity states for a number of these categories. And so I think that's what it is that we haven't taken a step beyond complete. But I think
I'm here.
Oh, yeah, yep, great.
So, thanks for asking the question. So I think this is, I think as Josh already said, probably just a mistake as we haven't defined a time yet to when it goes from complete to lovable. So I'll follow up why this is calculated in this way, but I don't think this is 100% representative, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, this is Dan. No worries. Thanks for answering that. Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I figured there's something like that, but I'm super excited about all the stuff that you guys have on here. So I look forward to seeing that stuff mature.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for the question. Yeah, I think again, we just got this appearing on the page with the kind of the full 4-quarter look here just recently, and so we're trying to also make sure we add maturity states for all of our categories going forward. And so it's a bit of a work in progress here as we sort of start to plan these out and have it presented on this page. Thanks for the question. All right, we don't have any other questions yet. And so while we're waiting for a couple questions, I'll just do a quick introduction on us on slide 2 here. So we are the enablement section. As I mentioned before, we're a non-DevOps stage. We're made up of primarily distribution, geo, memory, ecosystem, and search groups. And so you can think of this group as largely the folks who make it possible to deploy and operate GitLab at any scale, and also ensuring GitLab can meet the needs of our larger customers. And so that means integrating with any existing services they have, like Jenkins or JIRA, as well as also trying to achieve the compliance needs they have. And so going forward, this is around things like data residency and features like that we're starting to see increased demand for in our larger multinational companies and even some smaller ones as well. So that's largely what we do, and you can find us on those channels. Let me check back and apologize that the link. So Francis, you got a great question. Can you please vocalize?
Yeah, sure. I'm really excited that there's a search category, and then I click the links on the slide and they don't say anything about search. They're like, it's a copy paste thing. So I'm wondering if you have any insight on the vision or the goals of that group.
Yeah, so thanks. Apologize for those links. We'll get them fixed here right now. Thank you for pointing that out. So the search group is a new group we're working to form. And the intent for this group is to be responsible for the Elasticsearch primarily within GitLab. And so this will be the Elasticsearch cluster that GitLab will utilize to provide global search across all of GitLab.com. And so we also will be responsible for the global search functions that then utilize Elasticsearch. And so we're making this a dedicated team. Right now, Kai and the Create team are doing a great job in driving this forward. But there's really some specialized skills in Elasticsearch around planning and ensuring that the queries are set up properly so you can scale and shard Elasticsearch. And so we're making this a separate team to help really drive that forward, and also make sure that for our customers who are larger, we can also scale up for them as well, like we have to for GitLab.com. And so that's the goal there, is the Elasticsearch implementation within GitLab and the indexers and the global search functions.
Terrific, thank you.
And thanks for bringing up the program links. I apologize for that. Thank you, Kai. All right, so a couple other quick notes while I hopefully get some more questions here. On slide 6 for telemetry, you can see some of the existing telemetry that we already have today for the enablement section. These are available. We made an enablement topic in Periscope, and so as we add more charts here, we can use those to find all things enablement. But right now we have a chart of active instances broken down by the deployment type. And then also we have a % of installations behind the latest release. That's really interesting. That's a gauge of essentially how many of our customers are working with the recent version of GitLab and users. And so it's actually pretty impressive for a self-managed deployment. We want to make sure that we keep those numbers and increase them going forward to make sure our upgrades are easy to use, reliable, and pain-free. And so hopefully we can continue to drive that number even further up, as well as potentially some automation in the future. And again, you can see the link there on the right-hand side that we're also working to define KPIs and SMAL going forward for our group. This will be a little bit interesting for things like distribution, for example, around how you consider an active user. So we're thinking through that. We're working to find those in that issue there. So if you have thoughts or opinions or want to follow along, please subscribe there. I'll check back for some questions. Dan, I see you writing.
I'll just stop typing and I'll ask it. Thanks. On slide 7, the priorities, one of the priorities listed for enablement is on number 4 is GitLab can meet enterprise compliance and integration needs. I'm kind of interested in the integration needs part of that. Like, what's the thinking there? Are we talking about framework for better integrations, or UI wise, or how are we going to improve our integration capabilities?
Yeah, sure. Patrick, I think you're on. You want to take that one?
Yeah. Hey, Dan, thanks for the question. So there are a couple of things there, and I think those are both great points. So the primary focus coming in is going to be working on some of the integrations that we currently have that our enterprise customers are most interested in. So the #1 priority for me today is JIRA integration. So that's cleaning up the existing integration. There's a bunch of bugs that just haven't gotten addressed over the years. So fixing those, improving the configuration of it, improving how it integrates at the group level and instance level, and kind of shoring that up. And so that's a good, like, JIRA tells a good story in that for some enterprise customers, they are completely locked into JIRA. Like, there is a 0% chance that we are going to be able to move them over to something like GitLab for the things they're using JIRA for 5 to 10 years, maybe. And so what we need to do is enable them to use the GitLab product by having a JIRA integration that is robust enough and gives them a great experience that their users are comfortable. Similarly, like Jenkins usage, like we've got some stuff on the horizon that we're going to work on better Jenkins integration, so that customers who are locked into using Jenkins, maybe they have, they may have 10,000 pipelines set up in Jenkins, and like it's unimaginable that we can actually get them moved over to our CI product anytime soon. So being able to support those kinds of products really helps our ability to expand our total addressable market into the enterprise space further. And then additionally, our goal with ecosystem is to create a more robust framework, as you said, for integration. So improving our APIs, making them more robust, adding new features, making them more stable, improving their documentation, better supporting our SDK and CLI libraries so that people can better create those integrations and better script to our interfaces. So like that's the sort of work that ecosystem will be doing. And actually, I should note, and is starting to do. We just had a team, our first 2 engineers started last week. And so we're very excited to just start getting to dive in. Does that answer your question, Dan?
That does. That's great detail. Thanks, Patrick. Excited to hear you guys are getting rolling. I'm kind of riffing off your answer. I added another kind of sub question. You mentioned the integrations for Jenkins. Are we considering, or maybe it's a little too early, but migration tools as well as just the actual direct integration?
Yeah, so that is that is a thing that we're looking at. That'll be handled by the import group, however. So we're ecosystem and enablement are not looking at migration tools, but import is. And I believe Jeremy Watson is the PM for that group today.
Got it. Makes sense. Thanks.
Just want to chime in on the note of the improved integrations for JIRA and Jenkins. I'm over here at Helm Summit Europe, as well as the Kubernetes Day that's being hosted here in Amsterdam. And I was approached yesterday from a current customer who said the biggest complaint that he has is that it's just so hard to use JIRA now that he's moved over from GitHub. As I'm here today, I have a bunch of people that ask me the exact same question of, is there a roadmap item to actually improve on our JIRA integrations to be able to come to on par with what GitHub can do, or at least in their viewpoint. So that's good to hear that we're targeting those specifically.
So that's awesome. I have a huge epic that I'm collecting JIRA stuff into. I've started to categorize it and again create some themes for the work that we're addressing. So yes, there is definitely some work that, and I'll link that here once I'm done talking. There's definitely a ton of work that we've got on our backlog for that, and some places that they can go read about that. And please, 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 if you have customers that you're talking to or potentials that you're talking to who are interested, please put them in touch with me. I would love to talk to them to hear their story and understand their use case. Our researcher would love to talk to them to understand their use case. So any of those people, please put them in contact. Thanks, Jason.
I can't see the doc due to being mobile, but I'd like to ask a question in regards to the Periscope data. When I reviewed the slides prior to the meeting, I noticed there was a category in usage that was listed as manifests inspired by. What is that metric in relation to?
Yeah, thanks for the question. That metric comes out of the usage ping, and we seed, I think, a file that's seeded in the database, like where it's coming from. And so I think someone has edited that that field on their Helm chart, and they have defined their own installation type effectively. And so you see like, I think another kind of interesting one as well popping up in there. Yeah, someone's defined their own installation type essentially is where that's coming from, I believe. And we don't have any filtering right now to kind of filter that out. So. Mech, you want to vocalize your question?
Sure. Yeah. So do we have any idea on how many customers are actually using our charts to install GitLab on Kubernetes? And then, you know, what the forward plan to improve maturity here is? Because I noticed there are some questions in Slack regarding a customer is looking to use this way of installation instead. I think we need to make it mature, test it, and burn it in. So do you have any insights around the go forward plan here?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. And this is, you can also see what I'm showing my screen, hopefully. You can see my browser. If not, let me know. You can see here's what Jason was referring to. But actually, if you look at this chart, you can actually isolate just the Helm chart. And so you can see here is the Helm chart data. And so we're right up around 1,000 installations, active installations that are still reporting in. That said, currently our usage ping data is broken. We're working to fix it, and that's why you don't see any data since July. But you can actually kind of follow along with the Helm chart installations here. So we had a good amount of growth there, and we're having some challenges with the data feed from the usage ping right now. But hopefully help answer your question there a little bit, Mech, on the first portion. I'll stop sharing. And the second aspect is, yes, we're absolutely working to improve this. This is a key area for us to focus on in the distribution team. One great piece of news on the dog fooding front is that the delivery team did switch over 100% of our container registry traffic to Kubernetes, and they're using the GitLab registry subchart. So not using the entire chart, but they're using the portion of our chart that refers to the registry. And so that is essentially being dogfooded now, and they submitted a number of great MRs around things that they found around like the health check and how we're draining and updating, doing a rolling deployment. So that was fantastic. And that will, I think, continue as we work to try and move more workloads into Kubernetes. And so that dogfooding trend is moving forward, which is fantastic. And so we'll learn a lot there. As far as other customers go, we definitely are getting continued feedback from them. This is an area of focus. I think one of the biggest pain points that I have seen is just documentation that is just not on par with Omnibus. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do to improve. And then potentially the upgrade story, which we're working on for like our operator there. Yeah, it's a area that we're continuing to spend a lot of our time on and continuing to improve. So those are some updates I have there around focus areas for the Helm chart.
Sounds great, thank you.
We do have a number of large customers on it, actually. So it's, I think for folks who are familiar with Kubernetes and can sort of self-serve a little bit on the documentation side, they've been able to get up and running reasonably well. All right.
I actually bumped into 3 users running the Helm charts, 1 enterprise and 2 community here.
Do we know what's the scale of those installations, like 20K users or smaller than that?
Enterprise was, I believe he said around 1,000 users. The 2 community sets were, one was running for about 30 devs, the other one a little over 100.
Thanks, Jason. That's awesome news from the field there. Appreciate that. One other quick topic on the, I'll wait for our questions if we can get some, is the Geo team and dogfooding. So we're going to try a new model here going forward with the Geo team, where the Geo team will effectively be working to set up Geo for .com in partnership with the infra team. And so this is a kind of a new model where the engineering team will be spending some time doing this. But we're excited to get Geo set up and to get that dogfooding going so you can learn more about the challenges at the scale.com. And we're excited to get that as a key delivery here for, or to work on that in 12.4 going forward here. So that'll be exciting to see that kind of new model and how it works.
Yeah,
and then
to
of course,
pitch in.
Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just to pitch in. So this is Fabian, the PM for Geo. So we've worked already a little bit with the infrastructure team on this. There are still quite a few unknowns. So there is some planning work we need to do. But I think this is in recognition that, for various, things that are good about it, the dogfooding aspect, the disaster recovery aspect, this is something that we want to prioritize. And so we'll keep you posted. But, this is something where rather than just sort of servicing GitLab.com as an internal customer, we are also providing some help more directly. And I'm quite excited for that.
Thanks, Fabian. I'll check back on the questions here. Don't see any more, so I'll have one last comment here. I'll try and wait for some more questions, and then we'll wrap up if not. I just want to also highlight, we've spoken about distribution and search and ecosystem and Geo. I also wanted to highlight the great work that the memory team has been doing on site 11. So they've been working hard to get Puma enabled. It's on in staging right now. I think we found one potential thread safety issue before going to production. So we're working on tackling that. And you can again see some other awesome accomplishments that they've had here on slide 11. With that, if there are no more questions, I'll wait a couple minutes, and if not, we can wrap up. And,
sorry about the background noise for a second there. I wanted to point out a couple things that we actually learned from Helm Summit having been here. What we found out is the talking points that I really covered, which is some of the architectural decisions that we've made in the design of the charts, its componentization, and its ability to be independently controlled for each component, was specifically for our use case, which allows us to actually begin the migrations piece by piece and component by component for the actual migration of our SaaS to our charts. This is actually something that other large providers are doing as well. They're not necessarily doing it in such a large chart as we are, but I had comments from IBM and JFrog and Microsoft, as well as some of the Red Hat developers, that what we're doing is actually the kind of things that they realized at large scale they have to do. So inadvertently, we're following along and actually demonstrating thought leadership throughout the community in Helm, that dry pattern is what you should be doing, that you should be taking consideration of how your users will actually make use of the chart, not just yourself, as well as taking care to make sure that your users are safe out of the gate.
Thanks, Jason. And we're excited to learn more about Helm 3, I'm sure, going forward from the Helm Summit as well. Thanks, everyone. I don't see more questions, so we'll wrap up a little bit early. Appreciate the questions and the time, and you can find us on those Slack channels referenced in the deck earlier if you want to learn more. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Josh.